Hey Falcon fans, I'm Mott. Welcome to our Atlanta Falcons news and rumor video here. It's been a crazy week. You guys know that, right? I mean, come on, you're on Twitter, you're seeing the Calvin Ridley news. I want to jump in today and give you a little bit of hope. Maybe some options on some replacement wide receiver free agent targets that they could go ahead and look to get once Calvin Ridley, or I guess now officially that Calvin Ridley is not going to be a Falcon in 2022 and most likely not a Falcon ever for the remainder of his career. So let's jump right into, of course, the big picture. You guys saw the news. Let's just break it down here very quickly for those who haven't or maybe don't know all the details. Calvin Ridley has been suspended for the 2022 NFL season. Now, they were going to trade him anyway, right? I mean, it was very, very clear they were going to get rid of Calvin Ridley this offseason. And so it's not like, oh my gosh, now he's not going to be a Falcon. It's more like, oh my gosh, he's not going to be a Falcon and we're not going to get anything in return for him. That's the real problem with all this. You're not going to get anything in return for Calvin Ridley. So this does mean, though, that Calvin Ridley's contract is going to be void for this year, meaning Atlanta will have more money to spend in free agency, meaning there are some cheaper free agent wide receiver targets the Falcons could go ahead and look to add in order to go ahead and hopefully, as we talked about, improve this offense and help out Matt Ryan on the outside, because as we look at the Falcons wide receiver depth chart, it's pretty darn bad and pretty darn bleak. I mean, there's nobody on this thing. I mean, literally, most of the guys are free agents that you see on there anyway. Will they re-sign Russell Gage? I mean, Russell Gage is the best player that's currently a Falcon, but won't be a Falcon next week because he's going to be a free agent, right? You get my point. They have got to go out and get a wide receiver at some point this offseason. Now, technically, you could do it in the draft. And now this is not a draft-focused video. We'll do that probably in, the future, but this is a free agent-focused video. But there are plenty of great wide receivers that you could add in, early round 1 at number 8 if you wanted to. I would not. Or maybe in the second round, right? This is a wide receiver heavy draft overall. Treylon Burks out of Arkansas, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, John Mechie maybe in the later rounds. Like, I would expect them to probably draft a receiver at some point in the 2022 NFL draft. Maybe not in the first round because you need pass rushers. But even if they get a free agent wide receiver, look for a draft receiver probably in round 2, 3, or 4. Let me ask you guys this. Who's your favorite wide receiver in the draft? And again, we'll get into the free agent options that you could sign, but if you have a favorite wide receiver in the draft that could go ahead and possibly replace Calvin Ridley, let me know who that is down below right now. Okay, so as we go through this list, we're going from 5 down to 1, no particular order here, but these are the cheaper guys, and I want to focus on that because you're not going to go out and sign, the most expensive free agent wide receiver. A lot of those guys have already, re-signed elsewhere, Devontae Adams and Mike Williams and Chris Godwin, but these are the cheap guys or the cheaper guys who are going to be available and you can potentially go ahead and get. Starting with AJ Green. Now, again, I emphasize cheap here. AJ Green is old. He's very, very old, right? He's 33 years old. And so, you say, Thomas, why would you want to go sign AJ Green? Well, he's still been very productive. I mean, look what he did last season, being a number 2, number 3 option in Arizona behind Christian Kirk and obviously next to DeAndre Hopkins. Still at 54 catches, still in 848 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, he is too old, and I'd rather not sign AJ Green, but you can't tell me a 1-year cheap deal wouldn't be bad for the Atlanta Falcons or wouldn't be good for the Atlanta Falcons. I think it would be a fine thing. I think Matt Ryan can get the most out of AJ Green, especially with him being basically the number 1 target alongside a rookie wide receiver, right? That's my focus here when I present Green, is that yes, he's old, but he's wise, still productive, and if you have a young receiver, which obviously they will, I mean, Tajaé Sharpe is going to be young, right, overall, or Frank Darby is going to be young, then you could potentially, get some help grooming those guys to take over once AJ Green's, short contract would go ahead and end. So Green is 1 on our list here, not my favorite, but again, cheap is the focus, and that's what we're going to continue with here on the video. Ad break, pin comment down below, name a free agent wide receiver you want the Falcons to sign. Is there one that you have in mind that you'd like more than others? Thinking about the cap space, though, don't go out and say, go get this expensive guy. Think cheap. Let me know who it is down below right now. All right, next player on our list is probably my favorite player on the list overall, and that is Christian Kirk, the wide receiver from Arizona. 2 Arizona guys to start today's show. Kirk has been fantastic during his career with Arizona, yet no one talks about him. Like, I think I mentioned him in a video I did, weeks ago, talking about other free agent options for the Falcons, and I said the same thing. This guy almost had 1,000 yards last year, and yet nobody talked about him because, they had Kyler Murray, and they had DeAndre Hopkins, and they had AJ Green. Now, is he going to be cheap? Maybe not, but there's so many receivers in the draft and also in free agency that his market might not be as heavy as it would be for other years during the NFL offseason. And so Kirk has got to be a guy on the list, much younger than AJ Green, and still very, very productive and very successful so far in his early young career. All right, before we go get into another young player who's less than 26 years old and former Pittsburgh Steeler, hint, hint, let's go quickly give a shout out to the Falcons combo that is going on sale right now. I mean, this is $29.99 on your screen. $29.99. So it was $40, now it's $30. Chatsports.com/Falcons combo is the link that you need. It is 25% off. I'm telling you, get all of your Falcon gear in the offseason. Because once the season starts, it's like supply and demand, and they're like, oh, that one's going to be a little more expensive. That one, oh, you need a t-shirt? More expensive. You in the offseason, less demand, you save money, right? Come on, it's chess, not checkers, right? Go down below, chatsports.com/Falcons combo. The link will be down below in the description box. All right, next player, again, young, and this is another one that I really like. It's JuJu Smith-Schuster, the former, or I guess current, but soon-to-be former Pittsburgh Steeler, once the free agent market opens up next week. JuJu's very interesting, though, because overall, he's been very productive. You go back 2 years ago, he almost had 100 catches. Very, 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 very successful. However, last season, obviously, has the injury, only plays in 5 games, and the stats are very, very low, and he was on a 1-year deal, and so now he's going to get another 1-year deal? I don't really know. Like, I'm very curious how expensive JuJu Smith-Schuster is going to be, because on one hand, he was one of the best young receivers in the National Football League pre-injury. But now you have an injury. You're wondering, can he get back to his form? It was one of those injuries you kind of go, ooh, that's, iffy here. You could sign him on a 1-year deal. That would be interesting. But I'd also give him a 3-year deal. I'd be totally fine giving a little bit of money here to JuJu Smith-Schuster and let him stay in Atlanta. I think him and Matt Ryan could be a very dangerous duo. I love Christian Kirk, and I'm a big fan of JuJu Smith-Schuster, both of which I think will be a little cheaper than some of the top-tier wide receiver targets, the upper echelon guys that you see and you'll hear about, I'm sure, on the major networks. How important is adding another wide receiver this offseason? You guys do agree it's very important, and I know that pass rusher and offensive line are the most important, and I'm not going to argue that. I totally agree. But scale 1 to 10, how important is adding another wide receiver? Let me know down below right now. Okay, I want to offer one expensive option here, and that is Allen Robinson, right? So this is pretty cheap. I'm trying to stay under the cap, but if you wanted to go all in, Allen Robinson of the Bears would make a lot of sense. Now, he won't be super expensive, not Devontae Adams franchise tag money or Mike Williams, who got a massive deal yesterday, goodness gracious, but he still is very good. Now, the issue is that he's coming off of another injury, and he's only had 38 catches and 410 yards this past season, also was on and off the COVID list, and so Justin Fields was throwing him the football, so the stats weren't that great, but I think some team is going to pay him a lot of money. The question is it going to be over $15 million a year? If it's over $15 million a year, Atlanta's likely out. If you could find it underneath, 11, 12, 10, maybe Atlanta could go ahead and be in. But I wanted to include Robinson on the list just because he's probably the best free agent receiver left out there because, of course, Godwin is gone and Mike Williams is gone, Devontae Adams is gone. But I do think he's too expensive, and so the other options we talk about today are probably better options for the Atlanta Falcons. All right, final player on our list, someone that no one is talking about, but I think would be a great addition for Atlanta. It's DJ Chark. Now, you say, Thomas, DJ Chark, right? He's a Jaguar? Yes, he was a Jaguar throughout his early parts of his career. And you go back to 2020, very productive. 53 catches, 706 yards, 5 touchdowns. And that's with, name the quarterback for the Jaguars in 2020. Hard to do. I mean, fantastic. The problem is with Chark is that he broke his ankle in week 4 of this past season. When you break your ankle, especially from a wide receiver standpoint, that's a big ooh. You got to be a cut on that. You got to be a move on that. And so, obviously, he's going to be a lot cheaper. I see a team signing him on a 1-year deal, and Atlanta would be perfect because if he's healthy, again, Matt Ryan can get you the football, whether you agree with that or not. Some of you guys don't, but I think Matt Ryan can get these guys the football. I think Chark makes a lot of sense as well. Again, let's run through this, and it's important to say that the draft is cheaper because you don't have to give them massive contracts, but if you want to go sign somebody, here are the 5 that I think could make sense for Atlanta for different reasons, most notably of whom they won't break the bank in terms of how much money you can spend. AJ Green, old. Christian Kirk, never talked about, underrated. JuJu Smith-Schuster, injured. Allen Robinson, injured, but probably a little more expensive, and then DJ Chark, injured. Again, you see the point here. You got to find discounts, you got to find bargains. These guys make sense. I think any of the 5 would be a great addition for the Falcons to replace Calvin Ridley with. We'll end on this, though. Name a wide receiver you want to sign, from this list. Do you have one from the list that you want to go ahead and get? For me, it'd be Smith-Schuster, Kirk, or DJ Chark. It's 3. But is there somebody else? Let me know who that is down below right now. Ultimately, tell me up for today on our Atlanta Falcons news and rumor video here, breaking down some replacements for Calvin Ridley. Be sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter at RealThomasMott. I do a ton of Falcon tweets almost every single day, so give me a follow at RealThomasMott as well. For the Falcons today, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. To the rest of your day.